In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. How are you doing this fine evening? I am Jake Johnson, and this is Untethered Live on a Monday night. I don't know where I'm at. It's Monday night Bible study. Yes, sirree, Bob, and your uncle. How are you doing this fine evening? How are things out there in the world? It's been a lovely day for me. I went and hung out with my son. It's his birthday today. I gave him all my hard-earned money, and he went off to go shopping. Can't beat that. I feel good. I feel like a dad, you know. Anyway. Hey, Alpine Gulch. Already, right off the bat, we got people coming in. How are you doing this fine evening, my man? My ma'am? Ma'am? Tripping all over my mouth today. And yes, you can interrupt anytime you wish. That is why I'm here, to answer your questions. And I like your greeting, shalom, to which I say, assalamu alaikum. Well, interrupt then. Say hello. There you are. That's great news to see your son. Yes, it is. I love to see my boy. Hadn't seen my daughter in a while, but I've seen my son every week. I never miss a chance. That's the nature of the custody laws in the state of North Carolina. It's been a battle. I raised them for 14 years, and then they decide willy-nilly that I've had enough. It's time to give them to their mama. Didn't stand a chance. I lost before I ever got to the building. That's just the way it is for guys. But no, we don't have any problems with that in this country. Caucasian Sasquatch, good to see you, my friend. What's up? It's a beautiful day today on a Monday. Perfect reading weather. Perfect. I just woke up from a nice nap. My brain's a little scattered, but I'm here. Slowly coming into focus. You know how it goes. Got to get it while the getting's good. Do it. And that's what we're going to do. And I believe we were in Exodus 2020. It's an easy one to remember. 2020. That's where we left off last night. That's where we're going to pick up tonight. I'm trying to... I'm not even going to read that. I'm sorry. That's horrible. But you know what they say? A towel in the hand is worth two in the bush, or some such. Man, I hope you feel better. I mean, you could take that two ways. It could be the area in which you were sick in, or the area in which you got sick in. The latter is gross. The former is just life. Still furry lungs? Yeah, I know how that is. Me too. And it's been 2 years, and I'm still furry lunged. Maybe a while for you to get over it. But I think you'll be okay. Alpine, what you been up to this fine evening? You getting in any trouble? Doing any illegal stuff? The 10 Commandments is where we left off, I think. Yes, ma'am. Right about there. We were a little past it, but just barely. The area you occupied while you were sick. I got you. Yeah, well, that's way better than what I was thinking. It's not a good thing. I know that. But drink you some hot tea or some coffee or something warm and wrap up in a blanket and enjoy some Bible study, and you'll be right as rain, my friend. I had to go over and help my buddy out today. He was in a way. I know I've told you about my buddy Mac. And I showed up at just the right time, and he just happened to need me. So I was there on time and got him took care of. And that was a good thing. I'm glad the Lord sent me there at that time. You went grocery shopping. What are you cooking for dinner? Got chocolate. That's right. Hot chocolate will always make you feel better. And chocolate is biochemically no different than having sex. Small amounts. I mean, you have to drink a lot of chocolate, but it's there. Sasquatch is like, if I knew that, I'd be investing in chocolate factories. I think, let's see if I can remember this. I read a study somewhere that having sex releases something like 2.5 whatever measurement of dopamine into the bloodstream, and eating a piece of chocolate is 1.2 or something like that. It's very, very similar to the same amount of dopamine. I prefer sex also, but chocolate will do in a pinch. I find that Yoo-hoo works the best. And it's not even real chocolate. But they put something in Yoo-hoo that's quite addictive. Alpine says, yeah, right. I'm with it. One of y'all. You can also hold your breath for a really long time and achieve the same effect, but I don't recommend it. Okay. I'm just being silly. You know me. You know how it is. You know how it be. Gotta keep talking. Gotta keep talking. No dead air. It's gonna be a nice read tonight, I think. Leisurely. We threw the hard stuff, so we might have a little break. Or it might get intense. Who knows? I like it when it gets intense. I get all into it. Well, now, my junk is covered in chocolate. No effect. You got to eat it, man. No, not that chocolate. More chocolate. Not the ones you already used. A sneeze is also a fraction of an orgasm. Yes, ma'am, it is. That is correct. Comes from the same place, too. There's only so many things a body can do. Sometimes it doubles up. Ow, hurt my neck eating the chocolate. Or rather, trying to eat the chocolate because we know you can't reach it. I've tried. It's not possible. If it were, I'd never leave the house. I'd never leave the house and you guys would get some strange voicemails, you know? All right. Well, it is 8:41. Just about time to get to it. Where's my April at? And everybody else. We had a good crowd last night, by the way. Thank you, guys. 35 people watched the live stream. That was very nice. Very, very nice. I like it when that happens. Bring it on. By the way, if you haven't done so already, folks that are just tuning in, or if you happen to see this video later, go over to Rumble and subscribe to my channel over there. You can find it at UntetheredLive on Rumble. We're trying to build the clientele. It's free. Take a minute. You never have to go back again if you don't want to, because you can watch us here or you can watch us there, whichever you prefer. But we are trying to build the business over there, so go get it. Also, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Prime, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Who else? iHeartRadio, Overcast Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, CastBox. Pretty much anywhere you can download a podcast, we're there. So, except for Stitcher, because it was hard to understand and I couldn't seem to get it to work right. But other than that, Stitcher's not that big of a platform, so whatever. But we're soon going to be on BitChute too, if I can figure out a way to do that logistically without having to upload every day to the place. Rumble was nice because they just spoofed my YouTube channel and brought it on over. So all my videos went with it. That was lovely. I didn't have to do anything. If BitChute offers a similar service, that'll be fantastic. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Keep them doggies moving. Boy, my ass is swollen. Rawhide. You took April out. Just kidding. Alpine, are you angling for a wrench? No, she's probably very busy. She's working 9 to 5. What a way to make a living. She's handling that office for Kevin, from what I understand. Working as a paralegal or some such. She'll be along eventually. She might have all the boys this weekend, too. Y'all with your double entendres, there's 2 ways you can take that statement also. I took April out, or I took April out. Don't be taking April out now. I can't live without her. I need her. That lady has been a blessing to this podcast for sure. Oh, I know it was a joke, honey. I'm just teasing you. I don't take anything seriously unless it's made serious. I assumed up front that y'all were just sarcasm in it, being silly. I try not to be serious until it's time to start reading. Speaking of which, it's about that time. We are 15 minutes past the hour. Past the half hour. Both would be weird. Yes, it would. It would be strange. Let's go down, shall we? And here we are. Can I have a book, please? That's right. Chapter 20, verse 20 in the great book of Exodus is where we are. Let's get after it, shall we? And Moses said unto the people, Fear not, for God is come to prove you, and that his fear may be before your faces, that you not sin. He's saying that God has come to prove himself to you, that he exists. That's why he's here. He wants you to see him. He don't want you to cross that line at the mountaintop, you know. But he wants you to recognize that it's him up there. And if you happen to be afraid of what you see, good, because that fear will stop you from sinning. Much like the fear of your daddy hitting you with a belt will stop you from doing wrong. you know. Stay kosher. I don't follow kosher. But the pickles are nice. Classic. But that's what that is. That's the fear of God will cure a multitude of sins. And the people stood afar off, and Moses drew near unto the thick darkness where God was. And the Lord said unto Moses, Thus thou shalt say unto the children of Israel, Ye have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. Okay, I'm back. I'll be glad when this is over. Well, kiss my butt, man. I'm reading as fast as I can. I know what you're talking about. I'm just messing with you. Honk. And the Lord said, You've seen that I've talked to you from heaven. Ye shall not make with me gods of silver, neither shall you make unto you gods of gold. I don't want to look down and see you forming your little fake gods and calling them after my name. There shalt be no other gods before me. That's what God is saying here. He's adamant about it. He doesn't like it. Don't do it. If you got a statue of the Mother Mary in your house, throw it out. It's not a good thing. It only hurts when ouch. An altar of earth shalt thou make unto me, and shalt sacrifice thereon thy burnt offerings, and thy peace offerings, thy sheep, and thine oxen. In all places where I record my name will I come unto thee, and I will bless thee. Now, question. Did God tell man to sacrifice? No, he did not. That was man's idea. What God is doing is telling them how he wants it done if that's the way they're going to do it. For as long as I can remember, man came up with the idea to sacrifice. Now, I may be incorrect on this statement, but I think I'm right. Man came up with that idea to cover sin with blood, and God laid it out. Well, okay, if that's the way you want to do it, much like with the king business, if that's the way you want to do it, this is how I want it done. Spotless, blemishless lamb of the first year, not having mated yet, that sort of thing. And do it on a altar made of earth. Yes, this is the big golden cow part coming up soon. Yes, that's correct. Stupid as they may be, being that this is the first thing God told them not to do, and they did it just as fast as they could. We'll get to there. Okay. Notice that he says, your peace offerings, and your burnt offerings, and your sheep, and your oxen. And in all the places where I'll record my name, I will come bless you if you do it there. Meaning the house of God. And if thou wilt make me an altar of stone, thou shalt not build it of hewn stone. For if thou lift up thy tool upon it, thou hast polluted it. That means that it must be built of stones that you pick up off the ground and place. You can't cut it. You can't hit it with a hammer. You can't shape it because you pollute the natural state of the stone, which is what God's all about. He likes natural stuff. He does not like man-made things. He likes what he made. And what he made were stones that take natural shapes. So he's saying, if you build an altar out of stone, you got to make it out of stone that I made. Don't put your hands on it. Don't cut it. Don't break it. Don't chisel it. Don't pollute it. Neither shalt thou go up by steps unto mine altar, that thy nakedness be not discovered thereon. Don't put steps on it, or else people will be able to be on the ground and look up and see your nether regions because you're wearing a dress, dude. So keep it on the ground. Now these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them. If thou buy an Hebrew servant, notice that this sentence begins with the word if, meaning if you make that choice to buy a Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve, and in the 7th year he shall go free for nothing. You don't have to get paid for him. You don't have to sell him to somebody else. You let him go after 6 years of servitude. That's how you do a slave, if you happen to purchase one. If he came in by himself, meaning voluntarily, chose to give you of his servitude in exchange for, say, paying off a debt or something like that, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. Period. Notice that you don't get to keep the wife as a slave if you brought him in married. If his master have given him a wife, and she have borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, but he shall go out by himself, which means he'll choose to stay because he's got a wife and kids there. But the master provided it, so it belongs to the master. Much like when God provides you something, like your soul, it belongs to him, so you can't sell it. Oh, that's a little something you hadn't thought about, is it? And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free. Then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door, or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. That means an earring. Put an earring in his ear. Why? It's symbolic of ownership. It means that this cattle is mine. Why would you do that? Well, if it's the servant's decision, hey, I've got a pretty good life here. I got wife, I got kids, I get fed every night. I don't have to do too much work. My master's a nice guy. I think I'll stay. Well, then you shall have it. You go before the judges and make it permanent. Notice that you have to go before judges to make it permanent. It is not a thing the master gets to do. It's a thing that the judges, kind of like getting married. The judges have to record it in their records and make it a permanent thing. And then this guy wears an earring for the rest of his life, symbolizing that he belongs to that house. That's the way it worked in those days. God is not, I repeat, God is not endorsing slavery, nor has he ever told man to keep slaves. He's just saying that if, this sentence began with an if, you have a slave, this is the way you should treat him, with respect, considering that he's your servant. And if a man sell his daughter to be a maid servant, she shall not go out as the men servants do. If she please not her master, who hath betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be redeemed. That means that if he decides to take one of his slave's daughters as a wife, and she turns out not to be something he wants, then the slave can buy her back or work back her debt, whatever. He gets to get his daughter back. The daughter doesn't belong to the husband who doesn't want her. So that seems fair. To sell her unto a strange nation, he shall have no power, seeing he hath dealt deceitfully with her. You can't just sell her off to somebody else because you don't like her. If she's not pleasing to you, you give her back to her family. That's what God's saying do. Don't separate families is what God's saying here. And if he have betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. If your son marries a slave girl, then she becomes part of the family, and you must treat her like one of your daughters now. She's no longer a slave. She's your daughter, period. As a child, I had a serious problems separating the story of the golden idol and the story of the brazen bull. Well, I will do my very best to lay that out for you properly as we get to it. And this is very easy. The golden idol happens at the Mount Zion. That's when Aaron and everybody collects all their earrings to make a golden calf to worship. The brazen bull happens at the tabernacle about 100 years later when they have the tabernacle, and it is designed to hold a basin of water on top of it. There's 12 bulls, actually, not just one. And there's another brazen bull mentioned somewhere in the Bible, which is a torture device where you put a man inside the bull and then catch a fire underneath it and watch him burn to death. I'm not sure if that's in the Bible or if that's in some other history that I've read, but that's the other brazen bull I can think of. But we'll get there. And if he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. Just because he's got another wife doesn't mean he can take away from the first one. This was back in the days when a man could have more than one wife. This doesn't last very long. Why? Because it's impractical and nobody wants to listen to that much nagging. I'm just saying. Very few men have what it takes to have one wife, let alone 4. Talk about a full-time job. Excuse me. Drop my lid. And if he do not these 3 unto her, then shall she go out free without money. If he doesn't do all these 3 things, then she's able to leave of her own accord. She don't get to take any money with her, but she gets to leave free. He that smiteth a man so that he die shall be surely put to death. Don't beat your slaves. This is an important line because atheists always like to bring up the fact that God endorses slavery and insinuates that slaves are treated badly. This book begs to differ. I understand that indentured servitude is not an optimal way of living, but it was the only choice a lot of people had, and they chose it because it was a good deal. You work for a man for a while, your debts are paid off. You leave a free man, owing nobody. And you're not supposed to get beat on either, especially till you die. If a man lie not in wait, but God deliver him into his hand, then I will appoint thee a place whither he shall flee. This is alluded to here, but more specifically made known in another chapter where we talk about sanctuary cities. I can't remember exactly where that is, but it ain't too far ahead of us. But in other words, if you killed a man and they come for your head, you can go into a sanctuary city and await trial and know that you won't be killed while you're there. Unless it takes too long, and then they'll throw you out, and then you'll be at your own devices. There's April. How are you, sweetheart? Welcome to the show. We are in the book of Exodus 21:14. But if a man come presumptuously upon his neighbor to slay him with guile, thou shalt take him from mine altar, that he may die. Don't kill people, folks. It's very easy to follow this rule. I've lived for 48 years, and I've killed no one, presumably. It's not hard to do. Don't kill people. And he that smiteth his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. Don't kill your parents. It's not good. You're supposed to honor your mother and your father, that you have a long life on this world. You don't have to like them to honor them, but you have to honor them. That's the rules. Them's the rules, folks. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. You remember Joseph being sold into slavery by his brothers? This is exactly what they did. They stole Joseph and sold him into slavery, took the money and ran. And this is what they should have had happen to them. Instead, they ended up getting taken very well care of because God happened to have a plan then. God used Joseph to not only save Egypt, but to save his family as well. And Joseph became a very powerful man. But the act of selling their brother into slavery should have been followed by them being put to death, because that's the way it is now. He that curseth his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. This means to lay a curse upon them, not to call them a name. If you cuss at your parents, you at least should be slapped across the lips. But death is a little strong for that. This cursing means to physically curse them with a curse. We are in the how to keep a servant's part. Turns out they are redeemable. Yes, ma'am, they are. I'm not suggesting that's right, but that is the way of the world, and slavery's going on all over it at this very moment. And people act like we're the only ones that ever did it, and that's not true. And if men strive together, and one smite another with a stone or with his fist, and he die not, but keepeth his bed, meaning if you knocked him out and put him into bed for a while, if he rise again and walk abroad upon his staff, then shall he that smote him be quit. What does that mean? If you push a man and he ends up breaking his leg or something and he's bedridden, well, that's going to cost him time and labor and probably money. So if he happens to get up out of that bed, you better hope you kill him, is what he's saying. Because if he gets up out of that bed, then he has the right to kill you back. You know what I'm saying? He limps over to you on his staff with his broken leg. He can run you through with it. Only he shall pay for the loss of his time, and shall cause him to be thoroughly healed. Or he can force you to pay for his lost time until he's healed. Either way, the word quit means to quicken death, or quicken is the more useful term there. It means to bring death on in a hurry. Let's not screw around. Let's get it done. And if a man smite his servant or his maid with a rod, and he die under his hand, he shall be surely punished. You think? He should be more than punished. He should be shot in the head. You don't treat people like that. Notwithstanding, but what this is talking about is not a man being abusive. This is a man punishing a slave for doing something wrong. Notice the use of the word rod here. Rod is symbolic of spanking someone. In other words, if you beat them so bad they die from it, you should be punished. And what is that punishment? That punishment is death. Because it says it a couple of sentences up that if you beat your slave and he dies, you should be put to death. This is the same thing. Notwithstanding, if he continue a day or two, he shall not be punished, for he is his money. Notwithstanding, if he continues a day or two, he shall not be punished, for he is money. He is his money. This is talking about the slave. If you're punishing a slave, or if you intend to punish a slave, and he's working beyond the thing that he did. In other words, I think what this is saying is, if you suspect a slave of doing something wrong and it's been 2 or 3 days, you don't punish that slave if you didn't catch him red-handed. In other words, don't come home and spank your kids tomorrow for something they did today, because they won't get it, and they won't get anything out of it. I think that's what this is alluding to. notwithstanding if he continue a day or two, meaning if he did something wrong but keeps working for a day or two, 2 days past when he did something wrong, and then you come in and find out about it, you can't punish him because he's making you money. And if you punish him, you're going to lose money. He is his money. I think that's what that means. What do you think? This is my opinion. I have no fact to back it up. It's a weirdly phrased sentence among other weirdly phrased sentences. So you tell me what you think. You think I got it right? Or you think I need to study some more on this particular verse, 21:21? And we continue. If men strive and hurt a woman with child so that her fruit depart from her, or you cause her to miscarry, and yet no mischief follow, he shall be surely punished according as the woman's husband will lay upon him. In other words, her husband's going to beat you to death. And I don't blame him. You shouldn't be hurting a woman to start with, let alone one that's pregnant until she miscarries. And he shall pay as the judges determine. In other words, he goes to jail if the guy doesn't kill you. You think I'm right? I think I'm right. It seems like what that's saying. In other words, if you cause a woman to miscarry, you're going to go to jail and the judges will decide what to do with you. But if the husband happens to get his hands on you and beat you to death, you deserve it. I think that's what that means. And I agree. Men should not mistreat women in that fashion. You can correct a woman without beating her or causing her to miscarry. I'm not suggesting that a man should correct a woman. I'm saying that it can be done. This is a tough one. I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. And if mischief follow, then thou shalt give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, or wound for wound, or stripe for stripe. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. What this is saying is, if the mischief continues, if the judges don't solve the problem, which this may be something that you couldn't send to a judge. You know, say maybe you caught somebody stealing from you or whatever. Or say that somebody, say that somebody accidentally killed one of your servants by tripping over them and they fell into the fire. Who knows? Then you can kill that person because of life for a life. Say somebody put somebody's eye out horsing around. Well, then you could put their eye out because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. If you burn somebody, they can burn you back. That's kind of what that's saying. Goose for goose, gander for gander. Hey, let's not make this a transracial thing. I was just teasing. Yes. Goose for goose, gander for gander. I like it. Stripe for stripe. If a man smite the eye of his servant or the eye of his maid, that it perish, he shall let him go free for his eye's sake. That seems pretty straightforward. Why would a man poke somebody's eye out? I mean, I can't imagine being so mad at somebody. There, poke your eye out. Now you'll listen. But if he happens to, well, the slave's got a good case to go free for the sake of his eye. Because you shouldn't be treating slaves that way. If you have somebody that's indentured to you for service, then service is what they should provide, and a job is what you should provide, and that's where the relationship should end. You should not mistreat the people who are serving you, ever. I couldn't do it. Wow, I couldn't either, I don't think. If he smite out his manservant's tooth, he punches him in the mouth and his tooth falls out, or his maidservant's tooth, he shall let them go free for the tooth's sake. I think what this is saying is if you got a woman that you have to punch you should probably let her go because you don't deserve her in the first place. If an ox gore a man or a woman that they die, this was a problem in those days when you're dealing with ox. It was just pink eye, man. Then the ox shall be surely stoned, and his flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall be quit. Indeed. Don't let your ox kill somebody is what this is saying, or else you're going to end up dying too. But if the ox were wont to push with his horns in times past, in other words, if you know this is a troubled ox and it's been poking people before, you know it's a risk. So you shouldn't be using that ox. And it hath been testified to his owner, and he hath not kept him in, but that he hath killed a man or a woman, the ox shall be stoned, and his owner shall also be put to death. Why? Because the owner knew better. The owner knew that ox was a troubled ox, and he put him out in service anyway, thereby endangering everybody that was near that ox. You're not supposed to do that. A beast of burden should be docile, and if it's a problem, you should probably put it down. That's how the real world works. Don't let it keep going for the sake of making you money, knowing that you're risking somebody's life. Because an ox weighs about 3,000 pounds and can do you in rather quickly with no trouble at all. If it decides to. It should never decide to. And if this ox has caused trouble before and people have noticed it and said something about it and you're still using that ox, you deserve to die right alongside of it. I know it's harsh, but them's the breaks in these days. If there be laid on him a sum of money, if somebody offers to buy him, then he shall give for the ransom of his life whatsoever is laid upon him. Whether he have gored a son or have gored a daughter, according to this judgment shall it be done unto him. Don't sell an ox that you know is troubled, because then that purchase is going to be visited on your life. If the ox shall push a manservant or a maidservant, he shall give unto their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned. So if that man's ox happens to push you over and hurt you, then the man ought to pay you for your being hurt, and then he should kill the ox. That solves the problem right there. The person gets taken care of, the ox gets taken care of, everything is solved. If you, however, allow that ox to continue working and it ends up killing somebody, it's your own damn fault. You are at fault. It's your ox. You took the risk. Somebody's dead. Now it's your turn to die. This is a continuation of the 2 sentences higher. And if a man shall open a pit, or if a man shall dig a pit and not cover it, and an ox or an ass fall therein, the owner of the pit shall make it good, and give money unto the owner of the oxes, the ox owners, and the dead beast shall be his. In other words, if an ox falls in your hole, you buy the ox. You break it, you buy it. That's what this says. Why? Because that's obvious. If it's your hole and you didn't cover it up, make it safe for people, and somebody's animal falls in it, then you just cost that man whatever that animal could provide for his family. So you need to buy that ox. It's only fair. It's right. This is ancient insurance. That's what this is. This is an ancient insurance claim. You pay for what you break. And if one man's ox hurt another's, that he die, then they shall sell the live ox and divide the money of it, and the dead ox also they shall divide. Meaning both get meat and both get money. That's fair. Oh, the days of owning cattle. Some still own cattle. Do you guys that own cattle still treat things this severely? I wonder, because that cattle may mean the difference of your family eating through the winter or whatever. But I wonder if it's this severe in the cattle world still. I doubt it. But it's a good policy. I agree with what I've read so far. I haven't seen anything that seems outlandish. I mean, if it were my ox and somebody's other ox killed my ox, I'd be a little upset about that. I remember, Caucasian, back me up on this. Our fathers had a tiff one time. Now, I don't know if I got this story right, but bear with me. I think I'm going to tell it right. Your dad had some beagles, and my dad had some pit bulls. And one day, one of my dad's pit bulls got out and went down to your dad's house and killed one of his beagles. And then your dad came to my dad's house with a shotgun. And he walked up in the yard, and my dad said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "Your dog killed one of my dogs." And my dad said, "Are you sure? It was my dog." And he said, "Yes." My dad said, "Which one?" And he said, "That one." And my dad lowered his head. Your dad raised a rifle and pulled the trigger and blew that dog off the face of the planet. And then he turned around and went home. My dad never said a word about it, and everything was kosher between them from then on out. No problem. The problem was solved. There was a problem beforehand because my father's dog had killed one of your father's dogs. When he came and killed the dog that did it, the problem was solved. Do I have that story right? I think I do. I was a child. I don't remember this happening, but I heard the story. Anyway, that's kind of what we're talking about here. Sometimes you have to handle things a certain way. And when they're handled, solved, problem solved. If you don't handle it, the problem will fester, and then you got beef between parties, and that's always a bigger problem. You don't want that to happen. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting story. I shared it with you, whether I got it right or not. There you have it. Or if it be known that the ox hath used to push in times past, and his owner hath not kept him in, he shall surely pay ox for ox, and the dead shall be his own. Yeah, it was a bit before my awareness too, but that seems to be the story. And it might have even been the other way around. I don't know. All I know is that that's the story I received. And I think that that's fair. I think that's a little southern. I think if you're not from there, you probably wouldn't understand that behavior. But I think when you're raising animals, you kind of understand where the other guy's coming from. You just lost one of your animals. That's a loss, a net loss. And if you're doing it for a living, it just costed you severely. So it should cost the other party. And when it does, then everybody's losing, and everybody's okay with that. Nobody's happy, but everybody gets by. Kind of think that's how it should go. If a man shall steal an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. This is not saying that you can steal a sheep as long as you pay back 4 times what you took. It's saying if you get caught stealing a sheep, you're going to pay back 4 times what you took. And that's fair. I don't think that thieves should be able to get away with it. Even if they get punished, I think they should make restitution. Because in essence, a party lost because another party was greedy. But are they redeemable, the ox? No, not if they killed somebody. There is no way to redeem death. All you can do is even the scale, which is basically what this is saying to do. That's not a fix. It's a workaround. You know, it's saying, well, both parties have lost now, so we're even. Nobody could nobody wanted the ox to kill somebody. That's not in the cards. Nobody's trying for that outcome. But if that should happen, there's only one course of action, and that is to make both parties equal. That way neither party is left out in the cold, so to speak. I think. I don't see a way around that. I don't see how you can redeem the ox from killing somebody. Yes, that's sad, but it's true, right? Absolutely agree. If a thief be found breaking up and be smitten that he die, there shall no blood be shed for him. It's a sacrifice for civility, correct. Everybody sacrifices. Everybody loses a little something, but both parties walk away unscathed. So if a thief be found breaking up, and be smitten that he die, say he has a mortal wound in him, there shall no blood be shed for him. You won't go avenge his death because he's a thief. If the sun be risen upon him, there shall be blood shed for him. For he should make full restitution. If he have nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. Meaning if he survives, that means F around and find out. That's right. That's right. If the theft be certainly found in his hand alive, whether it be ox or ass or sheep, he shall restore it double. That means if you can get back what he stole before he kills it or sells it, then he'll give it back to you plus one more. But if he kills or sells it and you can't get back the original, then you get paid back 4 times what he stole. That's the restitution. If he still has it in his hands, he only has to pay it back twice. That's fair. If a man shall cause a field or vineyard to be eaten, and shall put in his beast, and shall feed in another man's field, of the best of his own field, and of the best of his own vineyard, shall he make restitution. This is pretty simple. Don't let your animals eat in somebody else's yard because you're costing them money. And if they happen to go over there and mess up this guy's vineyard, then you just lost your vineyard because the best of it needs to go to him. So why is the servant part using the word redeem, but I don't see that word for the ox part? Maybe I don't know what redeem means. Redeem means purchase. It means that you can reclaim the ownership of something. And an ox is a beast of burden. It's not a human being. That's why. You can redeem the soul of a human being, but an animal is designed to be eaten or used as a beast of burden. That's why it's here. That's its only purpose. Therefore, there's no redemption necessary for it. If it did something wrong, it gets killed and everybody eats. If it kills a man, though, you don't get to eat it because it killed a man. It's tainted. If that makes any sense. Again, I didn't write this, but I kind of agree with it. I hope that helps. We, in modern times, put emotional bonds on animals that they never were meant to have, right? And also, we're not talking about a dog. We're talking about a cow. Cow is a beast of burden. Or an ox, rather. They didn't feel about them like we feel about our pets. They didn't hold them as pets. They held them as this amount of cattle can make me this amount of money. That's the way they looked at it. So if you lose that cattle, then that money gets cut down. And then it causes you a problem because you were counting on the full amount. That's why the redemption isn't necessary. Hope that makes sense. If fire breaks out and catching thorns, so that the stacks of corn, or the standing corn, or the field be consumed therewith. He that kindled the fire shall surely make restitution. Well, yeah, that makes sense. If you burn down somebody's field, you need to plant a new field. You need to make restitution. You need to buy the weight of that corn in money, because that's what that corn was planted for, to sell. That seems right. Obviously, there are such things as accidents, but this isn't an accident. This is somebody kindling a fire and it getting out of control and then burning down somebody's livelihood. If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to keep, and it be stolen out of the man's house, if the thief be found, let him pay double. If the thief be not found, then the master of the house shall be brought unto the judges to see whether he have put his hands unto his neighbor's goods. Well, first of all, don't leave your money at somebody else's house. But if you happen to, say I left an amplifier over at my band leader's house, and then it got stolen from his house. If the thief gets caught, then he'll restore my amp or pay for it double. If the thief isn't found, nobody knows who the thief is, the automatic suspicion goes to the owner of the house, because he's the one that had possession of my property. And if it got gone out of his house, at very least it's his responsibility. That's why if you're in a position to keep a lot of valuable equipment at your house, have insurance, because it's a bad racket if somebody steals something. I've been through this before. It's never pleasant. And you must pay restitution one way or another, because the other party didn't expect on their stuff getting stolen. For all manner of trespass, whether it be for ox, or for ass, or for sheep, or for raiment, or for any manner of lost thing which another challengeth to be his, the cause of both parties shall come before the judges, and whom the judges shall condemn, he shall pay double unto his neighbor. If a man deliver unto his neighbor an ass or an ox or a sheep or any beast to keep, and it dies, or it's hurt, or it's driven away, and no man sees it, then shall an oath of the Lord be between them both, that he have not put his hand unto his neighbor's goods. You must swear to God that you didn't intentionally let that sheep get killed or hurt or run away. And the owner of it shall accept thereof, and he shall not make it good. That means if you believe him, if you believe that this thing happened by accident, then you're not going to take them to court and make them pay for it. That's what that means. But if it is stolen from him, he shall make restitution unto the owner thereof. If it be torn in pieces, like if a wild wolf gets in there and tears his animal to pieces, then let him bring it for witness, and he shall not make good that which was torn, if you can prove that a wild animal did it. If a man borrow aught of his neighbor, something from his neighbor, and it be hurt or die, or the owner thereof being not with it, he shall surely make it good. Always pay back your debts, folks. If you borrow something from your neighbor, make sure you give it back in a timely manner so that they don't mind loaning you stuff again. If you're the kind that'll borrow something from your neighbor and he never gets it back, pretty soon he's going to resent you for it and never loan you anything again. What you want, an optimal situation, is to have a community that takes care of each other by providing what each other needs. That means you loan to your neighbor and your neighbor loans to you, and everybody gets paid back and everything's fine. And yes, that's exactly what's happening. We're talking lawyer stuff. That's exactly what this is. This is basically the basic ins and outs of basic law. This is how you should treat people when dealing with their property or yours. But if the owner thereof be with it, he shall not make it good. If it be an hired thing, it came for his share. For his hire, sorry. It came for his hire. In other words, if you rent something from somebody, then you're obligated to pay what the guy rented it for. If he tries to screw you out of it or cost you more, that's not fair. You pay for what you agreed to. If a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. Well, this has always been the case from the beginning of time. If you take a woman in the field and lay with her and she becomes defiled by that act, then it's up to you to take her to be your wife. If you didn't want that, you shouldn't have laid with her. This is not excusing rape, by the way. I understand that some people see that way, but that is not what we're talking about here. Things were different in those days. They don't function the way they function now. And relationships have always been complicated. But in those days, when a man saw a woman that he found attractive, he usually slept with her shortly thereafter. Well, she knows that. Sometimes they would protest, but for the most part, they were willing parties. The problem is according to the Bible, when you lay with a woman, she's your wife. That is two flesh becoming one, technically the definition of marriage. In fact, until recent times, until the Roman times at least, there was no such thing as marriage license. Marriage was not a business proposal, it was a proposal of the heart. So when you betrothed someone, it was when you slept with them. Even when God married Jerusalem, metaphorically, the Bible says he spread his skirt over Jerusalem. He literally had sex with Jerusalem, according to the Bible. That's him marrying Jerusalem. I understand that can't be done, but it's a metaphor thing. That's how seriously he took it as a marriage. So what this is saying is that if you find a woman in the woods and you happen to sleep with her, then you make her your wife. If she's not already betrothed. If she is betrothed, you're about to go to jail because that's another man's wife, akin to property. Good thing they make a pocket size. If her father utterly refuse to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. Now, this is a little different. In those days, when a woman was considered to be betrothed, she came with a dowry. What that means is the party wanting to marry her will pay her father a certain set price, whether it be sheep or ox or barley or whatever they used to bargain with in those days. In those days, you paid for the virginity, for the right to have the virgin. Because the father is transferring ownership of her to you. Because in those days, the woman was considered property. Well, if you had sex with a woman and her father decides you ain't good enough for my daughter, well, you're not marrying her because he ain't going to give her over. So you're going to have to pay for her dowry because now she's defiled and you can't fetch that price if she's not a virgin. You're paying for virginity. You better get a virgin when you pay for it. So the dowry must be paid one way or the other. That's what that's about. Dowry just means set price. Now, here's a strange one that comes out of nowhere. I urge you to take it seriously because it is intended seriously. Doesn't fit what we've been talking about, but here it is nonetheless. Thou shalt not, same language used for the word kill, suffer a witch to live. What is a witch? And where did that come from? Well, a witch is a female who practices the dark arts, who is in league with Lucifer. That's what a witch is. In those days, it wasn't a Wiccan thing where these young people talk about love potions and chant to the moon and stuff like that. This is a serious offense. This is a woman who is literally in cahoots with the devil, like practicing evil things. That's what a witch is, a seer, somebody that talks to the dead. somebody that has access to Satan or to demons, you shouldn't suffer that person to live. That means you kill them when you meet them. But you better be sure that that's what they are. This got a little out of hand in the Salem at one point. Therefore, they kind of did away with this off the books. But God don't like people that deal with the underworld. That's God's domain. That's not man's domain. We were never intended to even know about those things. We shouldn't be messing with them. So thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Yes, it's scary, but it's true. Whosoever lieth with the beast shall surely be put to death. All you ladies in Tijuana, listen up. Whosoever lieth with a beast, that's bestiality, should be put to death. That means you should not live. Now, there's a place in the Bible where God tells a certain army to go in and kill every living thing, man, woman, child, and animal. Kill it all. And people say, why would God even say something like that? Because they were sleeping with the animals. That's why. And that whole town was tainted. Man, woman, child, and animal. Kill it all. Don't keep none of it. Of course, the king was like, well, we should keep the livestock for ourselves. Don't do that. They are tainted. You don't want those livestock. Trust me. They've been had, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, if you've ever, laid with an animal, you should be put to death if you haven't begged for forgiveness already. He that sacrificeth unto any god, save unto the Lord only, he shall be utterly destroyed. This word destroyed means broke into fine powder and cast upon the waters. Nothing left, not even ashes. Utterly destroyed. Don't sacrifice unto any other god except for God Almighty. Matter of fact, don't sacrifice at all, because Jesus Christ was the last necessary sacrifice. That's not even a necessary practice anymore, so don't do it. Thou shalt neither vex a stranger nor oppress him, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt, and you didn't like it when they did it to you. So don't do it to other people. That's pretty common sense. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And don't forget, you were once a stranger. Right now, you're on top of the world. You have the land, you have the power, but you were once a stranger. Don't forget what that was like. And don't treat other people that way. Ye shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. It's common sense. If thou afflict them in any way or any wise, and they cry at all unto me, I will surely hear their cry. If I was you, I wouldn't mess with widows and fatherless children, because God will hear them, and my wrath will wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. I don't think God likes when people mess with widows and fatherless children. If thou lend money to any of my people that is poor by thee, thou shalt not be to him as an usurer, neither shalt thou lay upon him usury. What does that mean? If you loan money to anybody that is one of God's servants, you don't ask for it back. You don't ask for interest. You don't put a price on the amount of time it takes them to pay back, if they pay back at all. If you're giving them money because you know they're poor, then give it to them. Don't loan it to them. Don't expect it back. Do it as a service unto them. True crime part. My people, this means Israelites or Israelis. No, I'm going to go with Israelite, because Israeli doesn't quite cover it. There's a lot of people in Israel right now that are not part of the 12 tribes. If thou at all take thy neighbor's raiment to pledge, let me explain this. In those days, if you made a promise to somebody. You would give them an article of the clothing that you were wearing as a pledge to that promise. And the other person who received it meant they took that promise to be a serious deal between the two. And you hold on to the clothing until the promise is fulfilled, and then you give the clothing back. That's the way that a promise was made. This you can see happen in the 50s when a man would give a girl his letterman's jacket. That was a promise for him to marry her. That's the way they saw it in those days. We don't do that anymore. We've lost that to time. But in the old days, this was what this meant. So if you take your neighbor's raiment to pledge, thou shalt deliver it to him by that the sun goeth down. That means if you make a promise to your neighbor, then you fulfill it before the sun goes down. Don't just hold on to his property for the sake of holding on to it. Get it done, is what he's saying. For that is his covering only. It's his cloak. It's his jacket. It is his raiment for his skin, wherein shall he sleep. And it shall come to pass, when he crieth unto me, I will hear, for I am gracious. I'm covering my ears, la, 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 la. In other words, if you make a promise and you take a raiment in exchange for that promise, hurry up and get it done and get it back to him, because that's his only jacket, most likely. And he's going to be cold in the night, but you got his jacket. And if he happens to cry to God, I'm cold, Lord, God's going to hear it, and he's going to whoop up on you for having his jacket. So give him his jacket back. Make the promise fulfilled as quickly as possible. Thou shalt not revile the gods, nor curse the ruler of thy people. As a matter of fact, you should not even consider gods. These are lowercase g gods. There are no other gods. They don't exist. Period. That's the way you should think about them. Yes, there are some entities out there. Yes, there are some people that worship those entities. You should not be one of them. Regard them as non-existent. Keep your eyes focused on your Father Almighty God, because the other gods can't protect you. They can't save you. They can't provide for you. They can't answer your prayers. Only our Father can do that. So leave the other gods alone. Don't even know their names. It's not necessary. It's not worth it. Nor curse the ruler of thy people if he worships gods. Thou shalt not delay to offer the first of thy ripe fruits and of thy liquors. The firstborn of thy sons shalt thou give unto me, says God. Always dedicate everything you have to God, especially your first fruits. Why? Because he's the reason you have it. Like it or not. Always dedicate your children to God. Make sure he's in their life. Likewise, shalt thou do with thine oxen and with thy sheep. 7 days it shall be with his dam. And on the 8th day thou shalt give it me. What this means is, if you dedicate a sheep to God, you keep it for 7 days, and when it's 7 days old, you give it to God. Let it live that long. And ye shall be holy men unto me, neither shall ye eat any flesh that is torn of beasts in the field. Ye shall cast it to the dogs. If you didn't kill it, and if you didn't butcher it, you don't eat it. Don't eat animals that were dead when you found them. Don't eat roadkill. Don't eat animals that were torn in the field by another animal. Only eat the animals you kill and you prepare. This is smart for a couple of reasons. Thou shalt not raise a false report. Put not thine hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness. What does that mean? Don't lie about people. Don't say you saw something happen when you know good and damn well you didn't see it happen. Don't say you know something you know good and well you don't know. Keep yourself righteous by telling the truth and being earnest. Is this the kosher part? No, not really. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil. You know those groups of people that run around burning down buildings and chanting in the streets and throwing Molotov cocktails and all that? You shouldn't be in that crowd. Don't follow people in a group to go do evil. You shouldn't be part of that. Put your head down, mind your own business. Neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment. Don't be naysayers. Don't run out there shouting down people before they have a chance to be judged righteously. Like the Blasey Ford trial and the Brett Kavanaugh, or what is his name, Kavanaugh? It ain't Brett Kavanaugh, is it? That trial was this sentence in a nutshell. Don't judge somebody before they've been judged. Don't be out there campaigning to shoot them down or to call them down before they've been properly judged, because you don't know if they're guilty or innocent. You may have your opinion. Keep it to yourself. Neither shalt thou countenance a poor man in his cause. Neither shalt thou countenance a man in his cause, poor man in his cause. I think what this means is you shouldn't give advice to people who can't pay to make their cause happen. Because if they're poor and they have a cause, they're probably not going to achieve that cause. So don't be part of that either. In other words, just saying don't be part of either side. Mind your own business, basically. I might be wrong about that one. Take that for what you will. There it is. If you think I'm wrong, tell me what you think this means, and I will consider it. Thou shalt not follow. I read that. If thou meet thy enemy's ox or his ass going astray, thou shalt surely bring it back to him again. If you're in the field and your enemy's ox is going away, running off, and you happen to catch it, take it back to him. Why? Because that's the right thing to do. Doesn't matter if you're enemies. Doesn't matter if you got a problem with each other. This is an ox, and it's not part of the battle. So take it back to where it belongs. Be human. That's what this means. Let's do the right thing. You can have your beef with the person later. Right now, we're dealing with an ox that's gone astray. And that man doesn't deserve to lose his livelihood no more than you do, whether you're enemies or not. If thou see the ass of him that hateth thee lying under his burden, and wouldest forbear to help him, thou shalt surely help with him. If you see the man trying to free his animal, I don't care if you like him or hate him. I don't care if he likes you or hates you. You go help, because that's the right thing to do. These are just common sense things that everybody should consider, regardless of who you are or what your faith is. This is how you treat humanity. You be nice. You do what you got to do. You can have all the beef you want, but when you see somebody in trouble, you help. You lend a hand, because nothing you're arguing about is worth that kind of hatred. Thou shalt not wrest the judgment of the poor in his cause. Wrest the judgment. You should not wrest the judgment of thy poor in his cause. What this means is, let me see how to phrase this. You shouldn't think somebody's wrong or try to prove them wrong just because you don't agree with them. If a poor man has his cause, you let him go about his business and fight for his cause. You shouldn't be making judgments or wrestling the judgment away from somebody because you don't agree with it. It's not your business. If your opinions aren't strong enough on their own to stand on their own, then you ain't got no business knocking down somebody else's. I think that's what that means. Keep thee far from a false matter, and the innocent and righteous slay thou not, for I will not justify the wicked. You see something going on that you know isn't right, you stay as far away from it as you can get. Innocent or righteous, don't kill those people. Ever. If you're in war and you see a medic running across the field, you don't shoot at that medic, even if it's the other side's medic, because that's the innocent right there. That's a medic. His job is to save people. You don't shoot that guy. That goes for both sides. This is called gentlemanly battle. Also, don't kill an innocent person or a righteous person, because God will not justify the wicked. And thou shalt take no gift, for the gift blindeth the wise and perverteth the words of the righteous. What does that mean? That means that you shouldn't take bribes. This gift is a gift that has a little something coming with it. Say you're a politician and somebody offers you $10,000 for your campaign. All they require in return for that $10,000 is to lend them an ear. Don't take it. Let them keep the money, because you're not for sale. That's what that means. This is not the same thing as tithing or offering to a minister who requires sustenance to survive. That's not what this is talking about. This is talking about people in power taking bribes because it blinds you and causes you to be corrupted or perverted. And it makes your words full of their words, which no longer righteous at that point. Although, nope, I stand by what I said. Also, thou shalt not oppress a stranger, for ye know the heart of a stranger, seeing ye were once strangers in the land of Egypt. Yes, this is twice that this has been said for emphasis. Never treat strangers badly, because you yourself were once a stranger and you know how that feels. So don't put that badness on somebody else. Don't put that juju on somebody else. This is also the same as saying, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And that's where we're going to stop for today, ladies and gentlemen. We'll pick up next Sunday, seriously, with 23:10. 6 years thou shalt sow thy land and gather the fruits thereof. But on the 7th year thou shalt let it rest and lie still, that the poor of thy people may eat. Okay. That's where we're going to pick up next Sunday. This was a rather tedious read. This was about law mostly, and about, understanding your surroundings and understanding how to act around certain people. But nonetheless, it's good information to have, and it gives insight into the way they thought in those days and how to compare that with what we're thinking today. It's very interesting, but a little tedious. Won't you do me a favor? While you're, stretching out your tedium, hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon so you get notifications of when I'm going to be online. Smash that like button. It's free. It's effortless. It's right in front of you. It takes no effort at all, and it really does help the channel with the algorithms, and it helps us get recommended to other people. Share this video with somebody you love. Better yet, share it with somebody you don't love. Bring them into the family. Make them part of the fold. Be part of their solutions, not part of their problems. Leave comments down below. Let me know what you're thinking about. Question me, curse me, bless me, challenge me, confront me, conform with me, drink my Kool-Aid. Make your own Kool-Aid. As long as you're thinking critical, that's what I want. Critical thought coming from that brain of yours. And hey, if you love the Word of God and you can see the value in what I'm trying to build, or if you feel led to send tithes, offerings, or love offerings to cover where you're taught, or if you'd like to just pat me on the back and say, hey, nice job, Jake, I'm with you. I want to help support your channel. You can do that. You can go to paypal.me/JakeJohnsonBand. Or if you're a CashApp user, you can go to $JakeJohnsonBand. Every little bit helps. It's a win-win. It's a blessing for me. It's a blessing for you too, because God notices these things. I'm here to tell you that's a fact. And I will do everything in my power to be worthy of your support, and I greatly appreciate it. And with that, I will take your questions and comments and round out this video. But first, if you haven't done so already, hop over to rumble.com/UntetheredLive and subscribe there. It's free and you never have to go back again. Just help me build the clientele over there. You can also find us on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Prime, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, CastBox, OverCast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public. Anywhere podcasts are downloaded, you can find us just about it. So won't you help us grow and support this channel the best you can, because we need to reach out and bring more souls in the direction of God. That's what we're trying to do here. Educate and understand. Please hit that like button. Much love, everybody. Questions, comments, criticisms, catharses, cattle? Huh? All right. Okay, will do, Jake. I'll check it out. Well, thank you, dear. Appreciate that. Yes, it's a lovely new part of the platform. You don't have to go over there, but if you would just take a moment to subscribe, that'll help us build the numbers up over there. And that platform pays me, so, you know. Cigarette time. Bo Cephas says, mind your own business. That's right, Margie. Welcome to the show. Better late than never. Yes, I heard that, ain't Deb? Woohoo. True, true. Wow, that was heavy. Thanks for enlightening it. Well, I tried. Sometimes I don't quite grasp everything, but I'm trying. I do better than most, I think. April says, hit that like button, everybody. Much love, and come back Sunday to continue a great Bible study. Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate that. We love you all true. God bless. Sweet dreams. Have a safe and great week ahead. Much love all. That's beautiful. Amen, Jake. That was an awesome read and very intense. Yeah. That should be right up you and Kevin's alley. That's all lawyer talk there. That's what this whole book's been about so far. Or this whole read, rather. All lawyer talk. Do this, don't do that. Do that, don't do this. Jake always makes these reads fun and exciting. Gotta love it. Thank you, sweetie. I appreciate that. And I thank you for the compliment. I'm just doing the best I can. Hopefully it helps. How's everybody doing? Are y'all having fun? I know. Thank you, dear. I try to make it fun. Some of it's a bit of a slog, though, like the lawyer talk and the begats. Oh, Lord, I can barely get through the begats myself. Now what? Now we talk for a few minutes. We got about 1 minute left on the clock. I'll stay longer, obviously, but, you know, whatever you want to discuss, here I am. Yes, always. What do you think? Did you learn anything tonight? Do you feel enlightened or oppressed, or is your brain turn into mayonnaise? What's going on with you? How are you feeling, Sasquatch? Says April. And the sheep are scared. Yeah, they should be. Scared or scarred? One or the other. I always get those two mixed up. I think there's 2 R's in scarred. Kind of hard to believe I'm illiterate, isn't it? Self-taught all the way. Sorry, Kevin isn't with us. He went back a bed early. He still got the bug. Ew. Well, I'm sorry. Tell him that we hope he feels better and we're praying for him. You too, Caucasian. We got you in there too. I'm still coughing, but I don't think I have a fever anymore. That's good. Coughing is good also because that helps break the fever. Did you know that? When you cough, you are breaking the fever. If you're not coughing, you got problems. Could be both. Could be. Scared or scarred. Sheep don't fare too well in the old days, does it? That's good, hon. I'm glad you're getting better. Heart. Me too. It sucks to be sick. Margie, what are you doing today? How are things in your neck of the woods? The only one in this room that's a professional talker and talks the least. Go figure. Well, I guess technically I'm a professional talker too, but I'm a whole lot newer at it than she is. She actually knows the term copy. I don't. I'm working on it, though. I'm getting there. I'm getting good at my craft. I'm honing it in, baby. I'm learning how. Pretty soon I'm going to get involved in voiceover work, I think. I got a pretty deep voice. That'll work sometimes. What do you think? Could you listen to a book or a movie review with this voice? Smoke a lot of cigarettes, you can develop one too. Yes, LOL. Well, thank you. And sometimes I can curb my southern accent, but sometimes it creeps out on me. That's the trick when speaking professionally. You got to learn how to speak in a non-local way. That's hard to do. It's hard to have enunciation when you're so steeped in a southern drawl. Sasquatch's voice is deep. Yes, yes. How come you said Sasquatch's voice is deep, like a statement, but then you said my voice is deep with the LOL at the end of it, like, yeah, whatever. I step my accent in a two-lang twang. You have a professional charm, Jake. I love it, too. I'm just teasing you, honey. I know what I am. I know what I am. I am not an animal. I am not an animal. Well, thank you, dear. I appreciate you. No, I wasn't laughing at your voice. I was laughing at your charm. Ha ha ha. Ha. Like Doc Holliday. I'll be your huckleberry. Or if you believe the conspiracy theorists, I'll be your huckle bearer. I like the first one better, myself. You know what a huckle bearer is? Do you know? A huckle is that little handle that's on the side of a casket, and a bearer holds it up. So you have three to a side huckle bearers. We now call them pall bearers, but before they were called huckle bearers. And some people think that it was written in the script that he said, I'll be your huckle bearer, meaning I'll bury you. But it sounds more badass when he steps out of the shadows and says, I'll be your huckleberry. Like, I'll be your literary fictional character from a book meant for children. Huh? Huckleberry, I do believe. Well, that's a slang, but it's bearer. B-E-A-R-E-R. But you are correct. Jeez, didn't know that, did you? Way to make a movie line way too intense, Jake. I didn't make it up. It just happens to be. A huckleberry is a fine fit, and I like it better. But I think they might be right on that. Good to know someone will bury me, LOL. No. Huckleberry is a good set. Yeah. Nonetheless, it's a good damn movie, regardless of what he actually says. My favorite part of the movie is when he's spinning the cup around all sarcastic. I like that. I like everything he does in that movie. It's a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen Tombstone, you need to see it immediately, like tonight. Just go watch Tombstone. It's worth it. Trust me. Every bit good. You tell him I'm coming, and hell's coming with me. You talking about Huckleberry Finn? I was at one point. But I was referring to a line from the movie Tombstone and the debate as to what he actually says in that line. Some people think he says Huckleberry. Others have postulated that he said Hucklebearer, which means a different thing. Nope, Huckleberry Finn means worth $5. Okay. Well, fin is the French word for end, so take that for what you will. I don't know, but I found Doc Holliday in 1885 census in Leadville, Colorado. Wow. That would make sense. He wasn't far from Colorado when they did the whole OK Corral thing. I think that was in Wyoming or something, or Arizona maybe. Okay, I'll check it out. LOL. Okay, I'm confused. Don't take much these days. Erg. LOL. Don't be confused. We're talking about a line from a movie, that's all. They listed female and male whores too. So wild in the census. Well, you got to keep up with your whores. I mean, that makes sense to me. A fine fit for a fin. A fin is $5 bill. Okie dokie. I'll trust you on that. But I think a Huckleberry Finn is a small racist boy. I didn't know that. I learned something new. Yes, you did. And the fin I was referring to only has one end, by the way. But Leadville, Colorado, huh? I don't know exactly where he died at, but I kind of think it was in Colorado for some reason. I think he was at some kind of tuberculosis ward or something. Wow. Seriously. We are debating over the finer points of the word fin. I like it. This is the kind of commentary I'm into. I dig it. Let's continue. Does anybody know the meaning of the word hootenanny? Almost choked on my chocolate. Oh, crap. Sasquatch, pull that thing out of there. That was a deep cut from way back. Wow. Did you hurt your neck? Tombstone, Arizona was much later than 1885. So you're saying it must have been when he was young that he was in Leadville? I'll show you for $5. No fin for you. No soup for you. Could have been much later. It was in the 1800s. Ain't got no hootenanny. What's that, a hootenanny? A hootenanny is when an owl mates with a ragdoll. All right, boys and girls, it is 12 past the hour, so I'm going to hang it up and turn it in. I got to work in the morning. I love you guys. Thank you so much for the great conversation. I enjoy you immensely. You are the light of my life, and I hope you know that. And I hope you come back every single time because I love you, and I wouldn't want to do this without you. Have a great night. I want you to do me a favor. When you go out into the world tomorrow, be nice to somebody. For God's sakes, just be nice. Just go out of your way to do something nice. Let's make a cultural thing. Let's start a movement of nicety and see what happens. I promise you it'll change your life from the inside out. It'll make you better. It'll make you shine. People will notice. Do that and see what happens. Tell them old Jake sent you. Have a great night. I'll see you on Wednesday night where we'll get down and dirty and talk about all kinds of things. Until then, have a great night. Thank you so much for being here. I love you, true. Have a great night. Sweet dreams and God bless. And most of all, thanks for watching.